Welcome to the 29th Miami Jewish Film Festival, the largest Jewish film festival in the world. We want to thank all of our members, sponsors, community partners, volunteers, all of you film lovers, and especially our presenting sponsors, the Center for the Advancement of Jewish Education and the Greater Miami Jewish Federation, for their continued support throughout all of these years. My name is Richard Agler, and I'm excited to be moderating a virtual conversation with subject Nir Guez and director Efrat Lachter from the movie Whitewash, which is premiering at this year's festival. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
Let's
you for
begin.
having us.
Oh, a pleasure. Welcome again to both of you.
Pleasure to meeting you. Pleasure meeting
Imla
you.
Hakir, it's wonderful to meet you both.
Name like you. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a wonderful movie, revealing of so very much. And we have this wonderful opportunity to discuss with Nir. They call you the subject, but I kind of thought of you as the star. And, Efrat, what a wonderful work in putting this all together. So let's begin. Let's begin with Efrat. And I guess my first question is, and I'm sure of those who have seen the movie, is what made you want to tell this story, this very unusual story?
Well, yes, I feel like it's more than I wanted to tell it. I felt obligated to tell this story. And I've been covering human trafficking for more than a decade now. My first story as an investigative journalist was about human trafficking from people who were trafficked from Eritrea, refugees through Sinai Desert, where they were kidnapped into Israel. Later in 2015, I also were one of the first to interview women who were sex slaved by ISIS once they were liberated, and many other stories that involved human trafficking. So when I heard for the first time from Nir about what was happening in Malawi, I felt like this is a story that we have to dive into, especially knowing that Malawi in Africa is a place that not many people hear about or know about. And this is something that will not get the public eye, or at least in the West. And I felt like this is a great and rare opportunity to be able to have access to these girls and to learn about what was happening to them.
Yeah, trafficking is as people may know, is a worldwide scourge. And why when you tell the story, and you did tell the story in so many ways, why is it important? What kind of impact do we think it will have when people become aware of the story?
Well, first of all, I think that really there shouldn't be any reason for any child, girl or boy in the world to be sold to modern slavery. It really is something that I think should not exist. And there are examples of places in the world where they fought it and it didn't demolish completely, but they were able to reduce it significantly. So I feel like this is a story that is meaningful because hoping that the right people will see it. So some people will be aware of it and will be able to even recognize it when they see it happens. And others hopefully will be able to act. And as I see it, this film is a call for action for people to get involved to finish this horrible thing that is happening.
You mentioned the word slavery, and which is something that we may think of as, belonging to a century or two, or, to the ancient past. But no, it's very much there today. And, again, if people realize here, when we're talking about trafficking, it really is a form of slavery. Although it's got modern touches to it, the traffickers will take away the girls. Typically, it is girls, their passports, their phones, they're abused personally, sexually, and all these other ways. The way that slaves, really are treated. They don't have freedom of movement. They have to do forced labor. So it's a very powerful word for us, slavery. And again, we kind of think of it as something once upon a time long ago. Unfortunately, not the case. And that's yeah. So
Yeah, that's also how they describe themselves. And I think that, like you said, there is, when there is a woman, like the woman that we interview some of them in the film, and they're talking about the fact that their passport is being taken away from them, their identity is gone, their phones, they have no way to connect with the world. And then they are expected to work in a way that slaves do, right? To do everything. in a household, and then later being also sexually abused. I think, this is modern slavery, and it really still exists, and it has to stop. And it can't stop. It can't stop.
As I think we know too, slavery and freedom from slavery in particular is core to the Jewish historical narrative. And, this resonates very deeply with us. One of our great holidays, Passover, of course, is all about freedom from slavery. And we sit around the Seder table, each year and tell the story. We say we were slaves as Pharaoh, to Pharaoh in Egypt. And we should all see ourselves as if we personally came out of Egypt. So this is an activity, I guess you call it that, or that touches very, very deep Jewish chords within us. And yeah, so
And if I can take it, yeah, and if I can take it to these days, also I have to, if I may share something, working on this film and working on this topic, I never thought that is something that can really happen to my immediate surrounding, right? You feel very, very protected in your own life. And I think that if there was something that happened to me and to all of our community after October 7th, is realizing that it can happen. And there were women from Israel who were kidnapped and were trafficked inside of Gaza. So this is not something that is far from any of us, and none of us are really protected. And that is part of why I feel like, what people think, what happened in the other side of the world? Why should we care? We should all care. We're all part of this world together, and like you want to have the empathy towards you, something like this happened. So the same for now.
Thank you. The October 7th is absolutely a compelling part of this story as well, even though the film took place before that. But yes, it throws that light on it. Nir, let's turn to you. I guess the same question. You have a very fascinating past and distinguished service to your country, which we'll get into in a
Thank you.
moment. But let's talk about trafficking as long as we're on the topic. How did you get involved in this and the idea of rescue and so forth? Yeah, tell us how you came.
Honestly, I have to be frank and say that I was almost sure that it doesn't exist anymore. That slavery doesn't exist. It's something from the past, and something doesn't exist anymore in our world because I didn't hear about that too much. And it's happened to me that one day I was traveling to a neighbor country in Malawi, and I thought in my own eyes a case of human trafficking. And when I saw those little girls sitting in a container, a iron container that it's hot, together with 5 or 6 goats in the container, and transport from one country to another in order to reach the port, and from the port to go to the Gulf, I understood there is something that it's not correct. And when I asked the policeman in the checkpoint, what's going on? He said, this is another human trafficking case. And I understood it's not the first one. And at that moment, I decided, I don't know why and how and come. Maybe my Jewish blood start to pump up. And I says, no, I have to help at least those girls that are in that container. I knew I needed authorities to do it. So I had to go back to the city, sit with the highest authority in the country, and ask permission to take those girls to the shelter. To a shelter. I didn't have in that time nothing. To a shelter. And when the United Nations will start the paperwork and all of that, in the meantime, they will be in the shelter. Why? Because their usual practice was that once they arrest them in the border, they put them in jail together with the trafficker, together with other criminals, until the UN is coming and make the investigation. That may take sometimes a year, sometimes months, and sometimes 2 years. So in the meantime, those little girls, 7, 8, 9 years old girl, are sitting there. They didn't commit any crime. It was just trafficking. So I went back. I rented a lodge that it was basically almost empty, and I turned that to a shelter for those girls. And I called that shelter Bet Israel by, and in my mind, it was that mishpat, that sentence that said, המציל נפש, המציל נפש בישראל כאילו הציל עולם ומלואו. That's what guided me. I didn't care the
Let me
color.
translate that. Let me translate that for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you save one life, it's as if you saved an entire world,
No.
which
And
is
and and I
one of
didn't
our most
care
beautiful
what
teachings.
color, I didn't care what sex, I didn't care what religion. I said, this is neshamot, that we needed souls that we need to help.
Yeah,
And those first 8 girls, they are the ones that started my human trafficking experience.
right.
And I owe to this girl a lot, even though I never spoke to them because they could not understand my language. They came from a native language that I don't understand. Slowly, slowly, of course, they went to school, they started to study, and they went to a boarding school overseas. But thanks to them, I went deeply to that issue and I understood that the world is completely disconnected from that issue. It's not a sexy issue to talk about it. It's not something that like to talk about it. And therefore, they're just left out of the focus of the big news, they're out of the big event. And I decided that it's not enough to fight it on ground. I need to go to any platform I have and talk about that. Yes, I know I make a lot of people unhappy with that because I always blame not the kids, not the trafficker. I blame the consumer. I blame the people that pay for those girls so much money that it became a very hard commodities.
Yeah,
And those are people who living and staying in countries that they have law and they have wealth. They have beautiful houses, beautiful building, but in the backyard of them, like a cow and like sheep, they have also 2 or 3 girls from Africa that cleaning. That's the most. They are the one that create the human trafficking, and against them, I'm fighting.
this is something, again, you made a lot of really important points there. This is a business and it's a
Exactly.
profitable business. And that's why, like most other things
Just
that
to, just to give you numbers,
yeah,
the trafficker, he pay $100 to the parents of the kids.
yeah,
He's getting $10,000 per girl.
right.
That's the size of the traffic. It's bigger than drugs.
I'm going to introduce a little bit of my own personal story and work into this. My family and I, support a girls' shelter in Nairobi, Kenya.
Nice.
And there's a story behind that, which we'll maybe go into another time. But this shelter exists, and it's a former large home. We have about 50 girls who are residents, in the shelter, and there's a security wall around the shelter, and there's barbed wire on top of the wall, and that barbed wire is electrified. And why do we need that? Well, the first time I asked, I was explained it was because of predators. Well, we're not talking about lions and tigers and
No,
gorillas.
no, no, no. I know
No,
exactly.
yeah, you know exactly right. It's the traffickers who are the predators, and
Exactly.
just as it's like you say, they've got an investment in this, and they're businessmen, and if we've kind of taken their assets, as it were, away from them, they're not happy, and that's why this shelter is in a undisclosed location, and it's very important for the privacy that's there. Let's talk about that because it's not only the businessmen, so to speak, who are responsible for this, but this couldn't go on without the awareness and the compliance and the probably bribery, I'm sure bribery of officials in whatever country we happen to talk about. So, Efrat, when you were making the film here, did you have any difficulty getting permissions? This might have shone a light into areas that people didn't want exposed necessarily. So, tell us about that, and I'll have a similar question for Nir in a moment. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I guess there were a few moments that we felt almost unsafe because of the nature of our work. So obviously, from the most basic point of view for me, it means that I have to send all the materials every night back to the producer in Israel just to make sure that no one takes our cards and delete our footage, which is the first concern. But it is also the concern for your safety and, of course, for the safety of the people who you are filming. And it was there was a lot of moments that we felt that we might be threatening. Well, lucky for us, Nir is very well connected in the country, and he was able to make sure that everything will be okay. But it's a very corrupted system, and it's an evil system. And I think one of the things that really surprised me about this journey is that, again, I just said, Nir is really has connections in the highest places in Malawi, and still he was not able to fight this phenomenon the way that he wanted, and he was pushed back constantly from people. And I feel like that was a really important lesson. Where there were just too many people who are gaining from from trafficking of young people, girls and boys, and it was so hard to stop. So yes, we were definitely worried about it, but we were able to release all the footage and get it back, and I'm very happy that we were.
Yeah, yeah. Near same question. I mean, with
Well,
all the
for me, I have to tell you, it was regular days in Malawi. Malawi, it's a very, I want you to know, very friendly country. And when they see us coming and try to make a movie about something that they know exists, human trafficking, and they know about Bet Israel, they know about our initiative. So they are really most of the people was very supportive. The only people that was not so happy about what's happening is the people that gaining from that, that they say, oh, this is our territory, don't touch. Not officials, people that gaining from that said it was around surrender us. But official was very supportive for us. I didn't need to do anything special to get the Efrat to be on ground and film almost anything she wanted. And it was not really no one accident that they say, okay, give me your film or go, don't. No, we was really well treated by the authorities. And the authorities knows the problem. They have a huge problem in their country because it's not a rich country. They have to support their own, it's 22 million people. They have to support also their own victims. They have to support their own country with the welfare that they don't have budget for it. So if a man like me coming and helping whatever I can do, I do, they're welcoming that. They look at it in a very nice way.
So that's interesting. So you both are saying that the government was sort of kind of supportive here, or at least not interfering. Did you have any fear from the traffickers themselves, that you might be shining a light on them that they would rather not have shined on them?
More than one time, the trafficker was making a like waiting for those girls to come out of the shelter in order to take them back, or they was waiting for them when we used to take them to court. We need to use police escort to take them to court to testify. So it was a big operation even to go to court. We needed to have a police escort so we make sure that they will not be reattacked by those traffickers.
Very good. Nir, so as I guess the folks have seen the movie now, you have a distinguished record of service to your country, including as a member of the IDF. You've been enlisted to protect some of Israel's most important leaders over the years and other world leaders as well. You then went into business as an exporter importer with considerable success. But the film touches on that you entered some kind of quote unquote questionable areas.
Yeah.
How did you come to do that? And also, to be fair, how did you come out of that and
Okay.
become a bit of a secular
Let me
tshuva?
let me help you to understand.
Okay.
First of all, we going back long time, 40, 45 years back.
Okay.
I was a young boy born in a moshav in Israel, loved agriculture, loved the state of Israel. Of course, went to a special unit in Israel and did everything I could to serve the best I can the IDF. And of course, I was an officer in IDF. And when I was finishing my service in IDF, I was approached by the Secret Service to be part of the Prime Minister office as protecting the Prime Minister Menachem Begin in that time in Israel. As you can remember, it was the time of the peace agreement with Egypt. It was a big time in Israel, big peace time in Israel. And I had the privilege to work with one of the bigger leaders that we ever had, I think, Menachem Begin. And I went with him to Washington a few times. I went with him to different Egypt, to different countries in the world. I learned from him a lot. And then I was sent to Paris to be in charge of the El Al security in France. In that time, in 1983 to 1988, it was a very difficult time for El Al in Europe. Almost every day we was attacked. Almost every day there was attack, especially in Paris. If you remember, Rue de Rosiers, Copernic, all those synagogues, they used to be attacked almost weekly basis. We had a attack on a synagogue. So I was sent there. I tried to do my best to do a good job. And then I decided, okay, now there is two possibilities. Or I go back and work in the Secret Service and take a position in the office and grow there, or I will go and do some business. I will try to do business. And the only place where a guy my age, with no university background, with no, with no big knowledge in academic knowledge, can try. I went to Africa. I went to Africa and I found a country or a continent that really have a huge need of a lot of product, not only from Israel, from other places in the world. And slowly, I built my position there, beginning in Congo. Then I went to Sierra Leone. When Sierra Leone became too active to be, I had to leave and to go back. In the age of 31, I was a millionaire. I was very rich, very fast. And that's hit me. I wish I will not be like that. I wish it would go slowly. And that's what I say to my kids today. Just go slowly. Don't look for the million quick, because money sometimes is creating environment very bad for a young person like me. So when I was very young and very rich, you can understand that I was targeted by many people that thought that with me they can do a lot of stuff. And in one point of my life, I think it was 1992, still a lot of time ago, in 1992, I decided that I think I'm in the wrong side of the, and I'm in the wrong side of the,
Moral balance.
of the balance.
Yeah.
And I think instead, I'm almost really what in that time to have a lot of money and cash money and deal, it was not illegal. You could walk to the bank anywhere in this, and you can deposit $1 million cash. That was not the problem. The problem was the source of the cash. The problem was what you do after that. I took it very lightly, and then I understood that I'm in a wrong path of life. And I got a great opportunity in my life to say, wait, we can light you and put you back in the path where you belong. And since then, I I have to say thank you really to many people in the United States, in Europe, in Israel, that helped me to go back to that path. and I did a great job for the governments in Israel, in United States, in Europe. And also, I did a nice life for my family. I did a nice business, very, very organized, not overnight business, but very regular. And I went back to agriculture, where I came from. And today I feel very proud when I walk into my farm and I see thousands of people working and happy, and it's give me back the feeling that I'm in the Moshav again and seeing that's beautiful things happening in Malawi. And yes, I was in the time, not too long, but I was in a certain time when money came too fast, when I thought that with money you can buy anything you want in life. It's very wrong. And I decided to shift, to be in the right side of the history. And that was give me a wake up. And I'm thanks God, I think when no matter what will happen to me today, I will always be remembered to the good side of the history.
For you, yeah, very, very important, and kol hakavod, for your journey.
Right.
Hopefully, there are some young people who are watching and maybe can learn that lesson.
Amen. Amen to that.
If
Yes.
how did you connect with Nir of all people, and how did you decide to tell? We talked about trafficking, but Nir in particular.
Well, I've known Nir for years before we started filming, and I think that's probably why he
Yeah.
agreed to go on this together. He told me at
Yes.
one point, I thought it was a great compliment. He told me if I wanted I said, we're going to open everything up. He said, if I wanted a PR film, I wouldn't let you do it. So he was ready. He was ready to really tell his story. And I have to say, I really appreciate that. I appreciate the honesty. And I think, people are very fast to judge others. And I think there's something about reckoning that is so important. And I feel like, giving the opportunity to tell the full story and how complicated it is. And I think the fact that we see in the film that Nia is really, really trying, but not succeeding most of the time. I think that is part of it. I think that shows part of the process of reckoning as well. It's not coming easy to him. He didn't choose something easy to do for redemption. It's not like he's just sending checks. And I love this part in the film when he says, "You're in my house. You see how comfortable my couch is. I could just sit here and send checks, but no, I go up and I travel through Malawi for hours." And I was with him and I saw it. And I saw the frustrations and the heartbreak, which I felt was very genuine when it comes to this. So knowing me and hearing about the story, I figured this is going to make a really interesting film that is complicated, that is nuanced, that unlike other, I usually do TV segments or articles, and I said, no, this has to be a full-length documentary because there's just so much to it.
Yeah.
And I loved it that we were able to see it through.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of the entire audience when I'm saying we're very grateful to both of you
Thank you.
for sharing the story and for telling the story.
Thank you.
And that's yeah. And there's just something I can say, just very Israeli about this. But at the same time, the values and the things that we all love about Israel, which we don't hear enough about. You gave a platform to these values of caring and so on. And it's fascinating to me as a rabbi that, people like me, we talk about things. If you save one life, you've saved an entire world. We talk about that ransoming the captive is a great mitzvah. That slavery is something that we live with in the world today. We say it's not for you to complete the work, but you're not free to, desist from it either. We're not expecting any of us to be the Mashiach, to bring the Messiah and
Right.
fix the whole world, but we can fix part of the world. And at the same time, we talk about the highest form of charity, which is enabling people to not need charity anymore, to be able to be self-sustaining. So all of these things are woven in this story. And it's just wonderful, to be able
Thank you.
to
Thank
see
you.
it, come to
Can I
life.
share with you? Can
Please.
I share with you a small story that I think inside my heart, this is where came to me the slavery story or the human trafficking.
Yeah.
I had a commander in the Miluim, in the reserve. His name was Yemini Knan. He was a brigadier general. He's still alive. He's sick, but he's still alive. Brigadier General Yemini Knan is from Morocco. He was one of the kids in a family of 5. He was the younger one. When the Sukhnut came to Morocco, and the Mossad and the Sukhnut said, listen, we have a ship, a boat going to Israel, to his parents. We cannot take all the family. We can take only one kid with us. Tell us which one of them we can take to Israel.
Mm.
And his mom was looking at him as younger, and he said, take him. He was fighting not to go. He was crying the whole way from Morocco to Marseille, from Marseille to Israel. And in Israel, he arrived to a family in Kibbutz Kfar Aza, by the Aza Strip, Kfar Aza. He grew up until, 3, 4, 5 years, I think, until his family came back to Israel together. And then he reunion with the family. Now we are talking about maybe 5, 6 years that he was apart. When we was together, he's my age. He was telling me that story that hurt him and still inside him, like it's happened yesterday, the pain of leaving the parents, the pain of being taken as a young kid to an unknown. And I understood because many times he had like a anger crisis, like he was reacting unconventional. And then he used to come back to me, he says, Nir, you can't understand my anger. It's coming from a deep, 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 deep place in my heart. When I was a young kid, and he kept repeating that story. And I knew that the feeling that this guy had when he was 5 is the same feeling those girls have when they take them from the mothers. The same feelings. And it's easier to kill someone, shoot him, and he died. Those girls, they are dying 50 years. You take them to work 50, 40, 30 years. You take them to work, you kill them every day of this time. So it's torture. It's not really only killing them, it's a torture. And that's what drive, I think, that was my understanding. How, thanks God, I was born to a beautiful family. 10 kids, nice family. Love my father, love my mother. They show us only love. So I can't complain. But I am aware that this is not everyone have that luxury.
Thank you very much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Efrat, we'll give you the last word here. And tell us any final thoughts, or you want to tell us what you're doing next, or go ahead.
Well, what I'm doing next, you can see on Fox News. It's in an hour. But I'm also working on another documentary about the humanitarian aid operation in Gaza. I was there for the whole year, and I have a lot of behind the scenes of that. It's another investigative documentary. But I do want to share one thing. I want to say that this film was also very important for me personally because as we started talking about, I've been working and interviewing women and girls all over the world about human trafficking. But usually until this film, I never had the opportunity to meet them again. Or to stay in touch with them, or to learn how this impact them, the fact that they were interviewed. And it's something that really always bothered me. And thanks to this film and the fact that I was able to go back again and see these girls again, I was able to hear from them that this was an empowering experience.
Yeah.
And that they were happy that someone cares and wants to share their stories and give them the opportunity to tell it. So I can say again, personally, this is for me my greatest achievement of this film, that they're happy with it. And that is why it's so important for me that other people hear them as well.
Terrific. Well, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Efrat. You're the best. Really, you're the best.
And thank you to our audience, and thank you to the Miami Jewish Film
Thank you to
Festival.
all, and shalom to everybody.
We'll conclude with that. Shalom to one and all.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Amen. Thank you.
See.